Hi, my name's Al and today I'm going to show you how to ditch your double or triple chain set so you can run a single ring. You won't need many tools, just your basic hand tools, Allen keys and what have you is all you need. If you've got a bottom bracket mounted front mech or you're fitting a bottom bracket mounted chain device, then you will need bottom bracket tools. First of all, we need to remove the chain set. Got a Shimano chain set here, so that's pretty simple. To undo the pinch bolts first. So these two bolts here, undo them bit by bit, don't back one of them all the way off because it will put all the strain on the other bolt. Once they're loose, we can undo the preload cap at the end. You need a tool like this for this job. Just unscrews. Like so. More modern Shimano cranks have a tab here. This needs to be lifted up with a small screwdriver and then you'll be able to pull the crank arm free. Sometimes the washer that sits in the left hand crank does come off, so make sure you find that. With the left crank arm removed, we now need to remove the right hand side. You need to tap the axle out through the frame. Make sure you use a plastic face mallet. If it won't pull all the way out, you might need to give it a little tap. It should all come through. If you've got a front mech that mounts to your bottom bracket, or you fit in a bottom bracket mounted chain device, you'll need to remove the drive side BB cup. Here we've got an E-type mech. We slacken this mounting bolt here, first of all. That'll help the BB to come out more easily. So remember, we've got a left hand thread on the right hand cup, on the drive side cup, so we're turning this in a clockwise motion to undo it. Otherwise you'll be there all day. Should come out like so. Check the orientation of your spacers. This is a 68mm shell, so we have two spacers on the right hand side, one of which is the E-type front mech. So now we can fully remove the front mech. We undo the mounting bolt all the way, keep hold of that, maybe a spacer on the back as well, so keep hold of that, don't want to lose it. With the mech unmounted, you need to remove the cable. We're ready to mount our bottom bracket mounted chain device. For the most part, we're removing parts from our bike, but there are a few parts that you will need in order to make this conversion. We'll be losing our chain rings and replacing it with a single ring specific chain ring, so it's got no cutaways, no ramps, no pins, something like this. It's a 33 tooth. That'll do the job nicely. We'll be requiring some shorter chainring bolts, so double chainring bolts won't work because they'll bottom out before they tighten the rings in place, so you'll need a packet of those. And in order to hold the chain in place, you'll be needing a chain guide of sorts. So it's a simple bottom bracket mounted chain device. Next we're going to fit our new chain rings, so we need to remove the old ones first. These might be really tight because they should have been Loctited in place, prevent them rattling loose. Most chain sets, the inner ring is mounted separately to the middle and the outer. In this case we've only got two rings to remove. So first of all, remove the inner ring. With the inner ring removed, we now need to remove the outer chainring bolts. So got a tool here to hold the female part of the bolt, the back part, because it often spins as you're undoing them. Just remove those one by one. So we've removed the rings and given the cranks a bit of a spruce up. So now it's time to fit our chainring bolts. It's normal to fit the chainring in the middle ring position. That's normally where you're going to get the best chain line. It's a good idea to use a bit of blue Loctite 243 on the bolts. This will help stop them rattling loose and also help prevent them from seizing in place. Go around in turn, fitting all your bolts. Even with the Loctite on there, you're going to want to do these up nice and tight because they can have a tendency to come loose, and it's because of that I'd recommend using steel bolts rather than aluminium. Then you can do them up nice and tight without fear of them breaking, and they also seem to be a little less prone to creaking. Clean the BB shell out with a bit of copper slip on the threads, on the face of the shell. Okay, so now it's time to refit the bottom bracket, and in this instance we're fitting a BB mounted chain device. You may wish to mount one to the seat tube on this bike. I think this is probably the best option. So we've cleaned the shell, we've applied some copper grease that will help stopping everything seizing solid. Always a bit of a hit and miss affair fitting a chain device, but I reckon we're probably going to want this butted right up against the cup, and we'll be fitting the other spacer here. So remember, these are 2.5mm spacers. So this is a 68. And being the drive side, we're tightening this in an anti-clockwise manner. Now you should be able to screw it home by hand. If you can't, maybe something's cross-threaded. We're going to check it out before we get the tools on there and possibly trash your frame. Like I say, it's a bit trial and error with lining up your chain device, but once you reckon you've got it right, then you'll need to tighten up the bottom bracket cup nice and tight. It may be a case that you'll have to fit and refit the chain set a couple of times to get it absolutely spot on. Our next step is to fit the cranks. So we want a bit of anti-seize on the cranks, especially where the bearings are going to contact the axle. So at either end, around the splines, and a little bit on the inside for our preload cap. In fact, pretty much everywhere. And we can refit it. Once it's in there, it will need a little tap with a rubber mallet to set it all the way home. Next we fit the left hand crank arm, so it just slides into place. It'll only fit one way. Screw the preload cap into the end of the axle. Get our preload cap tool, and my preferred technique is to tighten this as tight as you can by hand, back it right off, and then just nip it up, finger and thumb, and that will leave the bearings nice and smooth. With the preload set, then we can tighten the crank. Pinch bolts need to be done up to 14 Newton meters. It is a good idea to use a torque wrench here. You want to nip each bolt up in turn. Don't tighten one fully because it will put too much stress on it. And that's the cranks in place. Our left or front shifter is now redundant, so we can remove it. I've already undone the grip, so that will come off. Undo the brake lever. remove the shifter and cable. Refit your brake lever and your grip, nip it all up in the right position, we're ready for the next step. Two things that I would recommend when you're converting your bike to a single ring, well, on a trail bike, is a wide ratio cassette. So this has got a 36 tooth first gear, so it'll enable you to still be able to get up the hills okay. And also a clutch mech is pretty much invaluable on a bike like this with a simple chain device on the front. This will help stop the chain from derailing and it'll keep the bike nice and quiet as well. Next we're going to break the chain so we can remove the front mech from it and thread the chain through the chain device. Got a Shimano chain here. Now I like to have a quick release link on a chain, so we're going to drive out the original pin, which looks different to all the other pins. It's the original joining pin, and we're going to do without that altogether, and we're going to replace it with a KMC link, which is quick release, so we can take it on and off for cleaning. So drive the pin all the way through. Chain will come apart. You can remove our mech. And thread the chain through the chain device. Ready to be shortened and rejoined. When you shorten the chain, we're going to make it as short as possible. On a full suspension bike, it's important to check that you're not going to rip the rear mech off at full travel, so let the air out, compress the bike and make sure that your rear mech is no further than fully stretched, otherwise you'll cause some damage. We've rejoined the chain here with a KMC link rather than the standard Shimano pin. And next all we need to do is set the height of the chain device. So finally we need to set the chain device to the right height. You might need to play about with it a bit. Like I said, there's a bit of trial and error. So you can always move it around on the bottom bracket if you've got an extra spacer there. You might even need to bend the bracket that the device sits upon, or possibly even use some washers to space it out correctly. As it goes, this one's fitted quite nicely first time round. We had it butted up against the BB cup and it clears in all the gears, so it's all working very nicely. Okay, so we've lost a few gears, but we've lost a fair bit of weight, and we've also gained some security as far as chain retention is concerned. So it's all looking pretty good, it's all ready to hit the trails. We'll see you next time. Cheers, see ya!